Hello everyone, Phreak here with the patch 10.16 update of the Phreak Show. It's the playoff patch for most regions around the world, which means we aren't going to do another one of these until Worlds in about a month's time. Now, much like last episode, this is a fairly big one as Riot is focusing on pro play balance, so a lot of the balance changes are pro play focused. They hit a lot of good targets, a couple of misses, and we'll cover those as well. So, Ashe, Bard, Karma, Nautilus, Set, Syndra, and Volibear were all nerfed because of their pro presence. Now, Karthus, Kha'Zix, and Nocturne were also nerfed because of being generally OP, and a couple of those got pro play as well. On the other side, Akali, Evelyn, Fiora, Hecarim, Jax, Jhin, Jinx, Lucian, Misfortune, Morgana, Nico, Rakan, Skarner, Tristana, Veigar, Yasuo, and Ziggs all got buffed. Now, a lot of those champions needed it, but not all of them did. So let's talk about the nerfs first. Volibear and Set are the current number 1 and 2 champions in all Worlds qualifying leagues. It's absolutely great that Riot caught them in time for playoffs. Now, as far as the specific nerfs, Set lost some late game ability damage, while Volibear lost a bunch of movement speed all game long through his Q. Now, this is going to open up the jungle pool a ton, as Volibear and Set, though they were massive flex picks, were primarily played as junglers. This also removes some meatballs from the jungle pool, and it means that teams may have to find replacements for tanky frontliners. That said, those champions aren't dead. Both are still viable junglers, and Set is a reasonable top laner. Next on the list is Ashe, who got her Q attack speed nerfed. Now, sadly, we aren't seeing Caitlyn nerfs, so the Piltover Sniper is going to reign supreme as the queen of bot lane. Hashtag not my queen. Hashtag House Everosa. Ashe is still good, though. Now, next up, Bard, Karma, and Nautilus came in as the number 2, 3, and 4 supports, right behind the recently nerfed Thresh. Now, in Bard and Nautilus's cases, they got less healing, shielding, and or overall health, while Karma saw a big nerf to her primary damage, spells, mana cost, and cooldown. Karma's nerfs may be too big for her to bear, Bard is absolutely fine, and Nautilus is probably weaker than all the other engaged supports, so teams should hop off and move on to Alistar and Leona. Rakan maybe as well. Now, Syndra was the number 2 mid laner behind Zoe, who, to be fair, probably needs a nerf as well, and she lost a bunch of Dark Sphere damage, which hurts her wave clear and champion dueling, and I think this relegates Syndra into deep counterpick only territory, and maybe we just don't see her at all, except maybe against Orianna. Now, Riot tried to nerf mid-Nocturne, and it didn't stick. That champ is still busted. Kha'Zix and Karthus saw occasional pro play and were incredibly strong in 10-15. Well-sized nerfs to their respective Q abilities put them into viable, but not overwhelming as far as their territory is concerned. Okay, so almost 20 buffs in this patch, and let's start with the big ones. Hecarim is broken. He is the best jungler in the game, and he is the best top laner in the game. This champion should be 100% pick and ban across all leagues or playoffs, or their coaching staff and players are both trash for both missing it. Quote me on this because I absolutely believe it. The buff looked really small on paper. Hecarim gets a bit more move speed through his E. How bad could it be? Well, apparently really bad. This champ is absurdly strong, and if you want to climb solo queue or flex queue or whatever, you should play him. Akali was also a big winner. More Q damage, and her E went from physical to magical, which is a buff in most parts of the game. She's had the dubious honor for her entire post-rework life of being garbage in solo queue and broken in pro play. For the last year, she's been bad in both, and now she's balanced in solo queue. Will that mean she's OP in pro? Maybe. I think pros will pick her. Now, they haven't really had assassins in mid lane in a while, but Akali should be the first one in line if that's going to be broken up. If teams want to play one, yes, she's the one. She's viable top lane as well, so watch out for the flex pick. Evelyn hasn't always seen a lot of pro play, but Riot buffed her hate spike to always have a 4-second cooldown instead of only when she hits a jungle monster. Would have been 8 otherwise. This hasn't made her viable in other lanes, but it does mean that she's a lot stronger in the jungle, and her teamfight damage is of course way higher because it's half the cooldown. She is a very, very strong pick. A few pros are trying her out in solo queue, and we may see her as a spicy jungle pick in playoffs. Now, Lucian, Jhin, Jinx, Misfortune, and Tristana all got buffed in hope of spicing out bot lane. The 2 I care about here are Lucian, who got more piercing light and culling damage, propelling him out of the dumpster and into the street level. He's fine. Viable mid-bot flex, maybe even top. And Misfortune got +2 AD, but it's enough to bring her to life. So buy an Evanescence Reaver and go cast some spells, Sailor. And yes, I am proud of that one. The rest of the 80 carry crew got technically buffed, but not enough to make any waves. And yes, we stuck with the nautical theme. So Fiora and Jax got some decent buffs through lower cooldowns. Fiora can lunge more often, especially if she misses an enemy. And Jax can counterstrike more often, but why would you when you could Valorant? Regardless, Jax is a lot more powerful, and especially in the jungle, actually, as a result of a low early cooldown that's really used in the jungle. Meanwhile, Fiora joins Camille as a viable anti-tank split pusher in the top lane, so we'll see where that one ends up. Maybe Camille remains as number one. Now, speaking of junglers, Skarner got some buffs after the mini rework from last patch didn't quite hit the mark. Skarner is, in fact, a very good champion. He should be built as a full tank, leaving his Q, Crystal Slash, as a 1-point wonder. Focus on your crowd control and movement speed, play him jungle or even top, and go win some games. It's very good. There aren't a lot of pro-viable tank junglers right now, so Skarner may very well fit in. Finally, Neeko gained a lot of Q damage. Her bases are very, very high, and I can definitely see her making a return to pro play. You know, she's more likely to be played as a full mage and not as the on-hit auto-attacker we saw in seasons past, but she is strong as a mage, and it will be fun to see her in game, and I think we may a little bit. There's a few champions that we mentioned, but we're not going to talk about because their changes weren't big enough to be worth including in the video, because they're probably still not going to get pro play. Regardless, playoffs should be a lot of fun, and we'll see you there.